Hello guys, well here we are with Fear Street Part 2, 1978. And I had an absolute blast with this movie. I absolutely loved it. I loved it just as much as I did Part 1, 1994. And I think the reason why I actually like this one just as much is the fact that it really did tug on my nostalgia heartstrings a little bit, because I'm a huge fan of camp slasher horror movies, and it doesn't matter how bad they are. Sleepaway Camp, for example. I just find a lot of joy in them. I just love them because I think I was brought up on them kind of horror movies, so they always hold like a very nostalgic love for me, you know. And Fear Street Part 2, 1978 really tapped into that. It really did. So basically, Fear Street Part 2, 1978 is about a group of counsellors and students trying to survive the night at Camp Nightwing when, unfortunately, one of the counsellors gets possessed and starts going on a mass killing spree. It's basically all you need to know. Now, as with my Part 1 review, there will be no spoilers in this. I'm not going to go into like the main story of Fear Street. If you're watching this review of Part 2, you've obviously seen Part 1, so you'll know what I'm talking about. But just in case you haven't, I won't get into it. I will talk about the main story in my Part 3 review, because I will have to. Because that dives into the origins of what is making all this happen. So I'll more than likely will have to dive into that in Part 3. But for now, I won't. Because I really want you guys to go in with fresh eyes if you haven't started watching this series yet. Because this series is such a lovely surprise. I've enjoyed the hell out of these two movies. I really did. These two are neck and neck for me. I don't like one more than the other. They're like this. They're exactly the same for me. I love, first off, the acting, again, is absolutely superb. The acting across the board is fantastic. I love these characters. I love being with these characters. What I've learned as well is don't get too attached to these characters, because a lot of them you like will end up dead. So don't get too attached to these people. Again, I love the way it's shot. It's a beautiful looking movie. And I will say this, what I liked about it, whereas 94 felt like an early 90s to late 90s slasher movie, like your Screams, I know you did last summer. It felt very much of that era. Fear Street Part 2, 1978 feels part of that era. When I was watching this, it felt like a Friday the 13th, a Sleepaway Camp, The Burning, like these camp slasher movies, and it felt like that. So, whereas Fear Street Part 1, 1994, starts off pretty fast-paced like Scream, then dies off, Let It Breathe, then the action hits again quite quickly. This takes a different approach. For the first half an hour to 40 minutes, nothing really happens, but that's not a bad thing. You're getting to know the characters, it's building the atmosphere, and it's a slower pace, which might put some people off. It didn't put me off, because if you're used to watching older horror movies, older slasher movies, they do tend to start off quite slow and then ramp up. And this does exactly the same, but it does it really well. And we see the origins of one of the killers that was in Part 1, which is the, what's the camp called again? Camp Nightwing killer. I'll just call him Sackhead. Right? You see the origins of him. And he was one of my standout killers in Part 1. And I loved him in Part 2. This killer is brutal. I mean, they're all brutal, but God, some of the kills in this are just harsh. And if you think that they won't kill kids, I'll think again. Like, no one, and I repeat, no one is safe in these movies. No one. So I really like seeing the origins of him and how that all started. I really enjoyed that. And again, the soundtrack. I prefer this soundtrack more to the 94 soundtrack just because I'm an 80s child. I was born in 1980. So that music that's in Fear Street 1978, I was pretty much raised on. So just for nostalgia, love, that's why I prefer the soundtrack more to the first one. But it really does suit the movie. You know, it really does. I haven't got more to say, guys, and just I highly recommend these films. I really do. Like, they need to be watched and appreciated. And it's got me so looking forward to Fear Street Part 3 1666 that comes out Friday next week. I'm so intrigued to see where this all goes and just how this all started and how it's going to wrap up. It's really got me. Like, it's my most anticipated film of next week. Like, it's what I really need to watch. So, yeah, guys, it's the same as my rating for Fear Street Part 1. It's 4.5 out of 5. I think I gave the first one, so I'll give exactly the same for Part 2. Highly, highly recommend it, guys. And, oh yeah, nearly forgot. Another creepy killer from the first one pops up in this. That singing girl with the razor blade. I don't know what it is about her, but she genuinely gives me the shits. Like, she just unnerves me. Like, these films, to me, they're not scary. They can be creepy, but they're not scary. I mean, that's two completely different things. But there's something about her that just doesn't sit right with me. And I don't know what it is. I think I might need to talk to somebody about that. See a doctor. There could be some deep-rooted issues here that I haven't resolved. Yeah, she gives me the shits, all right. But anyway, guys, yes, I highly recommend this. Please check this out. My next review will be Demons 2. I have already seen it, and oh,